Well wishes, fantastic. So, guys, another 2 minutes to go, and it's 10:58. Another 2 minutes, we'll just start. So just hang on. Mm-hmm.
योगेंद्र जी,
हाँ राकेश भाई, यस।
अब तक कुछ गाना वाना लगा दो यार, जो उत्सव जी के मूड से मैच करता हो।
उत्सव जी के मूड से सिर्फ इनोवेशन मैच करता है सर।
इनोवेशन में गाना लगा दो कोई बढ़िया सा कोई।
वो गाना जो है वो उत्सव जी को ही पता होगा। और उत्सव जी गाना सुनते नहीं, सुनाते हैं।
अच्छा ठीक है।
वो गाना भी इनोवेशन का ही होता है।
गाना भी इनोवेशन पे होता है, वी कैन नॉट रिपीट द सॉन्ग आल्सो राकेश भाई, राइट? एवरी टाइम इट हैज टू बी इनोवेटेड।
यस। इस जो लोग आ गए हैं उन्होंने वीडियो क्यों बंद किया हुआ है अपना? व्हाई कांट वी एक्सचेंज द एनर्जीज बाय द टाइम उत्सव कम्स?
राकेश भाई, आई मीन ग्रेट थॉट। वो संडे का टाइम है ना अभी, आज फ्रेश नहीं हुए होंगे।
अच्छा, कपड़े उपड़े नहीं पहने लोगों ने? ओके।
नहीं कर दिया जी, कर दिया, शेयर कर दिया।
एक्सीलेंट। हाय अतुल।
हेलो सर, हेलो।
या
मैंने अपना वीडियो अपने लिए बंद किया था, मेरे को अपनी शक्ल नहीं नजर आएगी। इट डज नॉट मैटर संडे के क्या लुक से।
चलो, एक्सीलेंट। सो उत्सव, we'll start now. It's 11:01.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have around 23 participants. Right, so fantastic. So guys, my name is Yogendra Shah. I'm a financial advisor and a strategic second income creator. I'm based out of Noida. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Utssav. Utssav is a thought provoker, someone who shows different perspective to the problem and instigate thoughts. He is an innovation catalyst, an author, and an entrepreneur, deeply involved in academia as well as profession. This balance brings out that out-of-box thinking in his work and approach with a different take to each situation. He has been the instrument behind many companies' turnaround through his strategic framework. He has developed frameworks such as outcome-driven model, inventive architecture, and more, a few of which you would experience in this masterclass today. Now I invite Utssav to share his experience and insight on innovation. Yuji, over to you.
Thank you, Yogi, and thank you for introducing me, and thank you everybody for being here on the Sunday morning. Can you hear me all well?
Yes.
Just type in the chat box if you can. And I would like to request you all to mute your microphones and also save the bandwidth by switching off the video. If there's a question, then come up and then we'll see how we can answer that. Perfect, great. So I'm getting all the yes here. Great. So guys, this masterclass, most of you know me. If you and I'm going to show about what we are going to talk about in the coming slides. Don't protect your business. It's a bold statement. And what does it really mean? So why, the question that begs over here is that why do people protect their businesses? What does protecting the businesses actually mean? And why people do choose to do so? Is there another option available? And if yes, then why people still keep on doing that, and why not avail the other option? So we're gonna discuss about all that in this masterclass, and we'll see how protecting the business has actually caused some company to collapse, even though they were in the top of the game, and what goes wrong behind that philosophy, and how is that philosophy even more dangerous currently in the COVID period when subtle shifts are happening in the market and one needs to cope on that. So that's the whole framework we're going to talk about today. So those who already know me, I'm a very straightforward person, and so what I'm going to tell you today is going to be straight from the applied experience and studies that we have done over the past several decades. I have 2 organizations that we work for, and I'm going to show that in the coming slides for that. So who is this for? So this masterclass is meant for innovators who has an existing line of products or services, looking forward to revamp or improve their offerings. We have startups who want to enter into the new markets, whether you already have an existing business or you want to think like a startup. Entering new markets, if that's your aim, then this masterclass is for you. Growth hackers, if you already have a certain market share and you want to increase your market share. Niche builders. What are niche builders? So niche builders are basically those people who want to segment their market into a particular sector and build their offerings to serve that niche. So when you have to serve that niche, you have to be laser sharp, and that's what are niche builders. And if that's the case, then this masterclass is definitely for you. And guys, this is not limited to a B2B or a B2C, how people want to fragment strategies based on these distributions. It is also not limited to the manufacturer, distributor, or solution provider. Like I know a lot of distributors, they have a challenge that's saying that, oh, we don't own the product, so how can we innovate? So yeah, I'm going to tell you strategies today that applies to a distributor, because product innovation is not the only kind of innovation that exists in the market. So we're going to talk about that. As an outcome of this masterclass, you're going to enter into a new age of profitable market. If you apply these strategies, you're going to shift your market dynamics into a more profitable market. You're going to have a more perfect fit between your buyer and the offerings, and offerings being the products and the services. You're going to unlock your niches where practically there is zero competition. Right now, it's a great time to actually go into the niches because the competition still is not there. Most of the competition, your competition, is still trying to protect their own businesses. So if you want to disrupt that, enter into the niches, you'll not find any competition, and you're going to make huge profits out of that. Solves buyer objections. So as a result of COVID, we have very new emerging objections in the buyers, something that your products and services are not initially capable of, equipped to do that. So as a result of what we're going to study today, we're going to see how we can solve these buyer objections along the course, and then exponentially grow the market and sales and revenue. So if you do all that, you're going to feel the change. You're going to feel the revenue increase subsequently, and in the long term, you're going to have an exponential growth of your sales and revenue. So let me introduce myself to begin with. As Yogi explained, my name is Utssav Gupta, and I'm an architect by training, and a strategist and CEO at Creators Architects, which is a company already existing for 35 years. I'm also the founder of the Black Swan Lab, which is the innovation wing of my profession, where I'm catalyzing the innovation strategies for various companies. I'm a second generation architect and a third generation entrepreneur. The reason this subject is so close to my heart is not just because As architects, we are always passionate about the whole innovation style. But the fact is that it has done something very good for me and my business and for the people I serve. Uh, 35 years old company. Company was started by my parents in 1984. We got incorporated in 1986, and I started working in the company since 2007. I formally joined practice in 2011 after coming back from UK. But in 2013, the market dynamics shifted for us, and our business crashed. So we were struggling to understand how we can actually still survive in this competition while not sacrificing our values and our ethos. And in 2014, we decided to take a hard stand. We decided that we are not going to use simple techniques like slashing the prices, doing whatever is required to keep ourselves into the business, because that didn't really gel in with our ethical morals. And so the stand that we took led us to redevelop the model through the strategic innovation that I'm going to talk about today. So we didn't preserve our business that way. We didn't choose to go in the same trajectory as a normal conventional business theory suggests. And we chose to re-engineer our model. And it took 2 years. It was a very long learning curve, especially for a person who doesn't come from a business background. But in 2016, starting out the business model, and we got early success, which I'm going to show you now. In 2017, we increased our rate of success in different sectors, and we are now improving on that model constantly, and we are really breaking the new paradigms. In 2016, as I said, one of the major achievements that we got was to be able to design what is now the world's largest meditation center in Hyderabad. It was inaugurated earlier this year by the President of India. And working for this client, which is a worldwide client, one can imagine the kind of options they would have got from the designers all around the world. Well, because of a re-engineered model, we were able to offer them something that took us apart from all that competition, and directly put us into the league where we could win this competition, and not only make the beautiful concept of the meditation hall, but we also had the influence to actually drive the project in a certain way that was in the overall betterment of the client. And ultimately, it got delivered as the world's largest meditation center in coming this February. We saw similar feats in other sectors as well, where we had the workspaces or education. The public development coming up in Guwahati, it's a very big development in the middle of an area like Chandni Chowk. Healthcare and specialty structures. The specialty structure currently is India's largest span of 100 meters in steel, being funded by a rocket scientist in UK. So what we did over there was applicable in various sectors as we saw, because the framework was just the same. And I'm going to show you today what that framework is. So some of the clients, they found what we did was very intriguing, and it actually struck a heart chord when it comes to the businesses. So this is CFO Paul from AB InBev. AB InBev, by the way, is the company who owns beer brands like Corona, Budweiser, Stella. All these brands are owned by this company. He says that pragmatic approach combined with a profound and deep knowledge of culture-driven design. The culture for them mattered a lot, and we could translate that into design. Created a perfect blend of value-centric environments and efficiency of the work. The development is considered one of the best in the world. So this is a company, CFO of a company who has offices almost in every city, in every continent of the world. And he says that the development over here that we did for them is considered one of the best in the entire group. We did a school for this gentleman, Anuj Chauhan. He is one of the top board members of Google in San Francisco, very, very close to Sundar Pichai, one of the founding members of Google in San Francisco. And he says that the detail-oriented, well-structured, think out of the box and technological savvy, what we did for them, the children and parents love the entire atmosphere created, and that makes their conversion and retention very promising. School is a very, very competitive business, And because of what we delivered for them, their conversions and retentions are much above the average, industry average, and they are easily able to beat the competition in the area. They don't have to worry about the competition because of the infrastructure and the vision it shows. So this is a guy who's in Google, San Francisco. He has seen it. He has, he's already has a lot more experience with the infrastructure. And when it came to his school setup in Jaipur, what we did for them, we created these results. So further taking on that, I felt very inspired to bring it out in front of people. And so I went into teachings, lectures, and was invited as a jury member in a lot of competitions of commerce and entrepreneurship. So these are some of the captures from those zones. And earlier this month, in fact, just last week, we launched my book called Rebound, which is about how to bounce back and disrupt your market with strategic innovation. The book is actually late, but I think that it's a great opportunity if anybody wants to catch up on that, because in this COVID time, the world needs this thing more than ever. So it's available on Amazon, and it has been highly applauded by the members of Ghetto Book family and the USC. The first version was launched in January, so they have seen that. And this is what the review of the book is. So relevant in today's challenging time. Every CEO and entrepreneur must read the book. By Chandan Goel, the co-founder of Blue Consulting Group. He is providing accounting services to Fortune 500 companies and very big shots here in Delhi, and in also serving in India. He finds the book very, very refreshing, as he says, and relevant to today's challenging time. So what is that? What are we talking about? What is that secret move that all these guys experienced and that brought our company from a nosedive situation back into the game, and in a way that we are able to actually disrupt our industry, which is architectural design. So let me tell you that this is the most neglected phenomena of any business book. I'm talking about the conventional applied book. In theory, everybody talks about it, but in terms of application, not much of application is available, not in India, but also in worldwide. And one of the reasons for that is that most people are afraid to take this route. There are several reasons to that. We're going to see that as it comes. It is not limited to B2B or B2C. A lot of studies have been divided in terms of that this works for B2B and this works for B2C, where this strategy is going to work for both. Because B2B unnecessary, ultimately you are serving that one unit that we're going to talk about in this masterclass. And it renders the competition and any kind of economic situation irrelevant. So whether it's a pandemic or a disruption caused because of some other event, maybe your competition, maybe your industry law, maybe as prudent as a GST introduction in 2014, 2016, anything of that sort can be easily beaten up using this strategy. So first, let me ask you all a question. You're all familiar about these brands. They were very predominant in India. What is common between these three brands? Just type in a chat box. What do you find common in between these three brands from today's standpoint? Vanished? Yes. Collapsed from high? Yes. Leaders dead? Failed to innovate? Yes. Any more guesses? Doesn't adapt to the new markets? Yes. Khushi, I think that's a very aptly put. Yes. So all of these factors are correct. Kodak, one of the most sorted out brand, one of the most known brand in the camera industry, wiped out by Canon. Wimpeys, I think we have all struck a hard chord when it comes to Wimpeys. I think in my childhood I've had a lot of Wimpy meals, and that time there was no other fast food chain. Wiped out by McDonald's. And Nokia, I'm sure everybody would have owned a Nokia once in their lifetime. Everybody would have had a cell phone made by a Nokia. Wiped out by Apple and Android. Yeah. So if you really see what's happening over here, each of these companies was on the top of the game. as many you have rightly pointed out, they were at top of the game. They had a very large market share, almost the largest in their entire computer industry, unequal equal to none. I mean, one could never guess that anybody could have actually beaten these companies with that kind of large market share. Even had an emotional connect with the users. Wimpy, Nokia, Kodak, all the three had a user loyalty. At that point, if you had to buy a cell phone, you would not even think twice, just go for Nokia. Pradeep says Nokia had 60% alone. Yes, Pradeep, and this is worldwide. You can imagine the kind of market share they had. All these three recipes in typical textbook, business textbook, is a wonderful spot to be. If you have those things, if you have those markers on your board, your company has all these three things, you are considered to be indestructible. And yet the irony is that all these three companies were replaced by a company that strictly did not belong to the stream. Canon is a printer company, and they replaced and took over most of the Kodak's market share. McDonald's is a fast food company, and they replaced Wimpy's, which is another completely different segment. And Nokia got replaced by Apple and Android, and both are software companies. So how did that happen? What happened? Like, one would understand that you will be killed by the competitors of your own stream, but here we are, top giants being killed by competitors from the other stream. And this is not true for just these three companies. You talk about Netscape, you talk about MySpace, Xerox, Polaroid, BlackBerry, Hindustan Motors, Blockbuster, GM Motors, Motorola. Each of them, if their company has not collapsed, at least the product segments have been disrupted. They wanted to venture into the product sectors, and they got disrupted by other companies. So what is actually happening over here? They all fail to incorporate that one thing that matters the most, and that is strategic innovation. And I would want you to keep a very open mind towards this subject today. We're going to solve some problems here of why people, what are the myths surrounding the innovation. But let's keep an open mind and let's see how these companies have progressed when it comes to the model of innovation, and how are the other strategies rendered irrelevant. Let me show you how. So as a first outcome of this masterclass, I'm going to show you a new lens. I'm going to show you what's wrong with the established products and services in the emerging market. Yeah, would you like to know that? Would you like to know what goes wrong with the established products, as established as a camera built by Kodak and a phone built by Nokia? Come on, guys, give me some energy. Sunday morning, I'm sure everybody would have had a brilliant Saturday last night. Great. Yeah, so let's move ahead. So let's go back into the shoes of the company. Let's go back into the roots of what's going on here. If you really see, all the companies, by and large, they are trying to achieve these three things: getting customers to buy their products or services, attaining a sizable market share and a profitable one. Everybody wants market share and profits, so growth. And long-term sustainability. Everybody wants to be there with their products for a long time. They don't want to play a short game. Most people want to play the long game. Yeah? Would you agree that these are three things that every company is primarily working for? Let's place ourselves into these shoes. Would you agree that your three aims are these? Guys, I'm not hearing enough responses on the chat. Would you agree, or would you have some other opinions to share over here? Well, it's very important. We should actually be very clear about what companies are trying to do. Great. And what are the companies trying to do in the COVID times? Since we're talking about COVID specialty innovation here, most of us are struggling to retain their sales. Yeah. Everybody's struggling to try and retain the sales. Why? Well, we're going to see that. Trying to get the cash flows, the internal cash flows, everybody's trying to get that. They're really trying to see how they can manage the cash flows. And then as a result, we are also trying to find alternative sources of income through diversification. Yeah, a lot of people are working on in the markets of masks and sanitizers, and which were not there before. They try to diversify. There's also a good opportunity to capitalize on. But nevertheless, the point is that they are trying to diversify to meet up to the current standards and constraints. And so typically a company has three solutions to this. One is increase the outreach. So what does it mean? More marketing, more networking, more advertisements, and more paid promotion. Yeah, would you agree? The first instance is let's go out and reach the market. Let's go out and reach more people. Let's go and meet more people and networking, especially for the B2B guys. Let's go for more paid promotion. Would you agree that that would be the first instance? Next is playing with the price. Okay, अब मैं market तक पहुंच गया. Now मेरे पास इतने users हैं, या मेरे पास इतना footprint है, या मेरे पास इतना visibility factor है, but the buying is not happening. So let me lower my price to grab more orders. Let me give discounts and let me run promos. Maybe because when I lower the price, my sale will increase. Yes? Is that the next step? And then when that doesn't work, we say ourselves, यार product में अभी ना दम नहीं है. Let's look out for a new product, or let's look out for a new segment. Most of us then feel that we are not in the right segment. We want to improve our segment. So let's go to the new segment. But what happens when you go to the new segment? When you go to the new market, what happens? Still the same thing, because the new segment has come with its own challenges. And so you repeat the same cycle. So I really want to take a pause over here and ask you guys that how many of you are using, or how many of you seen, let's do a role play here. Let's since it is always hard to look at internally, let's imagine a business that you know very well, maybe your friends, maybe your relatives, maybe your fathers, maybe your some brothers' businesses, and see something that you know well, right? And see how increasingly are they using these three strategies to sustain. And think about a number: 10%, 15%, 20%. In the past 5 years, how many times have they used these three strategies to beat the market, to propel the product forward? Arun says all the time, 100%. So let me give you an exercise over here. Let's do a brainstorming session, shall we? Remember these kind of bags, the VIP bags, the attache cases that we used to carry. I'm talking about 20 years back, 15 years back. And let's say today for a meeting, if you want to carry your bag, and a company sells, some companies offering this brown, beautiful leather, maybe in crocodile leather or something. I'm not a fancy of animal leather, but anyhow, a lot of people consider that as a luxury item. So let's say that a company offers you a attache case, the one on the left side, the brown case. Would you want to buy that today if you want to go to a meeting? Would you want to buy this case, take it to a meeting? Okay. Now the company is running promotions. The company is giving you offers. The company is even slashing the price to a actually throwaway price. Would you still want to take the suitcase and take it to your meetings? No. Why? Why? Because this is what the current bag range looks like. And what is different between the one which is on the black, the one which is down there, and one there on the top? Out of fashion, yes. What else? What else? Workability, yes. Got better choices, convenience, more utility, excellent. So guys, there's simply one factor over here, that the needs that you have is not being fulfilled by the bags on the top. Product not serving the correct needs. Well, we can say that bags used to serve the needs. That's true. But if we talk about today you have laptops, today you have chargers, today you have executive notebooks. Today you have an appeal to make. You would want to go to a client with a leather bag who thinks that you're old-fashioned. So there is an emotional need and there's a social need. And so those needs are not met by the bags above. Simple? Makes sense? So any product that is not serving the correct needs, none of these strategies are not going to work for them, no matter how much they try. Let's look at another phenomena. Let's come back to our case of Kodak. Now, Kodak's downfall is coinciding with the emergence of the new technology, which is a digital camera. But it will surprise you all to know that the Kodak was actually the first company to discover digital camera. How many of you knew that? And aren't you even surprised to know that the inventor of digital camera was actually Kodak? And yet, they did not choose to market that. They did not choose to play with that. In fact, they stuck to their original analog cameras because of some revenue stream that they had, internal revenue stream. So this is a classic case of protecting the business and what happens when the market shifts and you're still protecting the business. Kodak's downfall is a result of that there was a better way to serve the need, but a company did not choose that. And I'm going to show you more examples for this. There was a better way. Anytime you may think that there is a product that serves a customer need. Well, if your competitor has a better product that serves that need in a better way, no matter what kind of loyalty you have, no matter what kind of pricing structure you have, the competition will always win. Make sense? Make sense? So what is opening here, guys? I'm going to have a quick round of understanding of where your energies are. What is opening up here? Okay, let's pass this question a little forward because the time can be limited. Now, I want to touch upon one more example before we can ask that question over here. Indigo. If you remember, Indigo was the airline that sparked mass aviation capacities in India. Before that, there was no low-cost airline as such. I mean, there were some of there. The Deccan Airlines were there. The Sahara Airlines were there. Jet Light almost rolled out at that time. So before Indigo, the whole aviation industry was dominated by the fact that the airline travel is a matter of luxury. Indigo, with its pricing structure, came down to a fact where they said that no, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. But what they did further was that they understood that with the emerging market, luxury is not what people need, is the timely reaching to the destination is what they need. And so when most of the airlines were saying, oh, this is India, yaar, यहाँ पे लोग जो हैं वो सब आराम से चलता है, सब कुछ time से नहीं हो सकता है, it's not possible, it's not America, yaar, we don't have that work culture. Indigo innovated the processes in a way where they start giving a promise that you're going to reach their destination in time. And so what happened? Indigo now has the largest cap of the aviation market. You must have all seen the Indigo flyers saying how many seats they have per day, how many seats they capture per day. It's the largest in India. So what phenomena over here is working from them? They cater to the new emerging needs. They cater to the new emerging needs. So now when they have catered to the new emerging needs, do you think that any kind of increase in outreach, pay with pricing structure or diversification will work for any other airline of that segment? Sure, there are always SpiceJet scenarios of sales and things like that. But have those concepts been even close to what Indigo has? Have they even touched the similar market share that the Indigo owns? Come on, guys. So what happens? You have a product, you have an offer. Okay, if your services, the service is an offer, and there is a need of the market driven by the users. And if you think that the product will work, well, how will it work if it's not serving the need? How will it work if if the competition, if you see that the competition is doing, what is the competition doing? It's just creating the products that are serving the better needs. Yeah. So if we understand the needs is one of the primary driving factor of the product success, you can understand that when the need changes or when the user need or the user pattern changes, and if we don't change the product, no matter how good your product was yesterday, it won't work today. No matter how good your product served user needs yesterday, if the users are requiring a different need together, your product won't work for them. Would you agree? Just like the bag example, no matter how well that bag used to have that fashionable statement 20 years back, leather bag, 20 years back, used to make a statement of that you are someone. Today, you carry the same bag, you're going to have a very hard time convincing a customer that you are from the future generation. So this is one most powerful formula of any business success, that you got to tap into the needs. You're going to understand what the needs are, and you're going to tap them as fast as possible. The good news is that 95% people are making this mistake. And because you're attending this masterclass, you're not one of them. Which means that when the need changes, because those competitors have not evolved, there are gaps. And these gaps are your opportunity. Each gap can be a niche. Yeah, let me repeat that. When the need changes, there are always gaps. And each gap is a market by itself. It's an opportunity waiting to be capitalized. And around every gap, there is a niche. Let me show you how. Let's circle back to the cell phone example. Nokia was the undisputed leader of cell phones about, I think, 15 years back. Let's say 15 years back, there was no cell phone better than Nokia. Had an almost 90% capture of the market. And with the evolving need of emailing systems, the evolving need of, guys, can I ask you to please mute your microphone? There's a lot of noise coming in. Yogendra, you have the host rights. Would you be able to switch off everybody's microphone? Thank you. So when the business need emerged, mobility, email on mobility, what happened? BlackBerry came in. BlackBerry solved the gap that Nokia left, which was the business need of the user. And we all know how BlackBerry was successful in their days. Yeah, almost everybody, I'm sure there must be a lot of BlackBerry lovers over here. Still, the keypad is simply, it changed the scenario where you had only a numerical keypad. Here we had a proper computer typing keypad in BlackBerry, plus a BBM messenger. That was a need of the business at that time. Well, the requirement moved on, and suddenly the internet became even more handful. People wanted to do more with internet. They wanted to also have entertainment sector through the internet. And so what happened? iPhone came in. With the coming of the iPhone captured the market that was dominated by Nokia and BlackBerry. It captured both the business users and it captured the entertainment users. It offered features like full touch screens, iOS. You can see your mail. You can have it used like an internet navigator. You can even store music inside. And so iPhone completely captured the gaps that were left by BlackBerry, and it literally made Nokia and BlackBerry obsolete. But there was a problem with iPhone. Yeah, iPhone was very expensive. Yeah, would you agree? Initially, iPhone was not something that was part of the masses. So there is a sector that the iPhone captures into, and yet there is a niche inside there that the pricing issue, the majority of the market was isolated from buying iPhone, and this was a niche captured by people like Xiaomi. Xiaomi came up with a model that captured those masses and still provide the same conveniences or almost the same conveniences as iPhone. Now, a lot of people would say that Xiaomi, yeah, sasta hai to theek nahi hoga, but no, I'm going to show you how Xiaomi innovated so that they still maintained the quality, but but the target was the price. So they were innovating, not in the product, but something else. Yep. So you see how the market was emerging. Let me just circle back over here. You see how the market emerged, how the gaps were left, which was capitalized by the next product generation. And once what we think is the ultimate product, which is the iPhone, still has gaps in capturing the market, which is being now captured by people like Samsung and Xiaomi. Yeah. So what's opening up, guys? What's opening up? What are you understanding out of this? What are you understanding out of this? Capture gaps left by others. Yes. Each gap is an opportunity. Yes. So now I want you to think about it. What gaps are there in your folio? What needs do you think are your user needs are? What needs do you think that your users require, and what are you serving, and where is the gap? And if you're able to even find one gap, you would realize that this is a potential for somebody else to come in and make you obsolete. Yeah, is it making sense? Is it making sense? This is the biggest threat that the current market has. The user needs are changing so fast that person who is not looking at the user need, well, I have some news for you. You're going to get killed soon by the competition. And so if you look at the Corona times over here, and if you apply the same what we just learned to understand the user has a different need now. The current products are not meeting his need criteria. And I'm not talking about just physical need. I'm also talking about financial need. I'm talking about the emotional need. The user is cash strapped. He is not in a position to spend big bucks. And there is an unclear sense of future. So there is no willingness to invest on the long term. These are my user requirements today, ladies and gentlemen. These are my users' needs. And if my product is not fitting into these needs, what will happen? What will happen if you're not fitting into these needs? Any idea? Guys, am I audible? Hello? Can somebody respond and let me know if I'm audible? Yeah, okay. I'm getting a text. Yes, somebody else will get opportunity to crack our business. Hemang will be wiped out. Yes. So what are we actually doing? COVID is there, and we are still stuck to the same product. We're still offering the same product. We're still operating on the same business model. It's just common sense. It won't work because the user are requiring a different set of scenarios over here. The user's needs are different. So if we don't change towards the user need, it won't work. These three strategies will not work until we understand the user in the first place. So by no means I'm saying that these three strategies are bad. All I'm saying is that you got to re-engineer your offerings first, and then circle back and see how can you increase the outreach by of your re-engineered offer. How can you make your pricing structure in the favor of the user through your re-engineering of the offerings? Excuse me. How can you diversify either in terms of user segment or in terms of product segment as a result of re-engineering? Does it make sense? So instead of going from left to right, where you try increasing outreach first and then you fail, and then we try pricing structure first and then there are hiccups, and then we try diversifying, and then again there are bottlenecks, and then coming back to the review and of re-engineering our offerings, I am inviting everybody to think about in a reverse direction. Look at your offerings first and then use these strategies so that you don't waste your money. You don't waste your time. Make sense? And to do that, you need strategic innovation. Innovation is the only way you can sustainably re-engineer your offerings. So what is innovation? You know, it's a heavy word. I know a lot of people have notions around innovation. So let's go and understand what innovation really is, and let's try and see what the current conceptions are. So very important question, why are organizations not able to innovate? Or why do organizations do not innovate? So whenever I have raised the topic of innovation in any kind of group, these are the mental images that one gets. Apple, SpaceX, Tesla, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Google. Yeah? Would you agree? This is what we think when we talk about innovation. And so the point I'm trying to highlight is that this is a very limited view of what innovation really is. We all know that how Apple innovates their products, how Tesla innovates the cars, which is again the products. But innovation is not limited to just products. There is a process innovation on which companies are built. Has anybody heard of this company called the pill pack? Pill pack? Has anybody heard about it? Yeah. So what is this company doing? This company has built a business around the fact that when we buy medicines and we have a regimented medicines to take, so we have, let's say, 8 medicines to take in 3 different permutations and combinations throughout the day. The chances of errors are quite high that we may miss one of the medicines. And imagine that happened to our parents whom missing their medicine is very high in risk on their health. So PillPack came with an idea that they're going to make these packs. You see this image on the top, this pack over here. So they ship this entire box full of these sachets, and each sachets have the prescribed dosage of the prescribed medicine in that, and you just need to tear the sachet and have the medicine. Neither have they invented the packing, nor have they invented the packaging, nor have they invented the medicines. They just simply invented a new process of value delivery. Yeah. And so just by capturing the process, they're able to innovate and disrupt the company. The company is now taking places. Another type of innovation is the business model innovation. And we all know about Netflix, but not a lot of people would know that in US, at least, the Netflix is a competitor of a company called Blockbuster. Blockbuster is a company very similar to what we have video parlors in this country. So we used to go and rent CDs around 5 years back, as short as 5 years back, even as short as 3 years back. We used to go to a shop who has to have a lot of CDs, and we used to take that on rent and then see the CDs and give it back to them. Netflix invented the model. It brought all the videos on demand on the streaming service, and that too on a subscription-based charges. That is the business model innovation. Yeah, makes sense? I think we're falling short of time, so we're going to pace up a little. Guys, so I would need you to start confirming me, as how you're getting it, because that's the only way I can understand whether you understand the concept and is there something I need to repeat or stress on more. So is it clear so far? Great. Now, fundamentally, most of the people think that product innovation is the place to start. But actually, if you really look at all the successful companies who have innovated in the past, business model or the process engineering is the first place to start and the most easiest way to start. You look at Netflix. Netflix neither had the movies of their own at that time, nor did they have the technology, even the cloud that they were operating on belonged to the Amazon. They just reinvented the business model as a first step, and now they are into Netflix originals and those kind of things. They were not there before. So I would invite you to start thinking about how you can innovate a business model as a starting point, especially in this climate where we don't have time and we don't have cash to support the entire product re-engineering and in this climate. And then once you've got all the three factors above sorted out, the other areas that we can innovate is the marketing and communications, like the click funnels and those kind of things. There are strategies around that. There is a hello. Ashutosh. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. And then there's a pricing innovation. Most of the people, how do we price? We say the raw material is this much, my production cost is this much, my overhead is this much, add 10% profit, here is my X price of the product. So this is the typical way of how the pricing is done. Whereas the pricing innovation can lead to a lot of different ways of you charging from your customer based on the value and other kind of things are there. So we're not going to go into detail over here at the moment. Next is a packaging innovation. Dutch Boy is a paint company where they were selling tin cans, paints and tin cans. They were selling paints in this kind of a packaging, and that step alone took their company to outrun any other company in that time in Belgium. So packaging innovation is also another kind of innovation that one can see. But anyhow, these are other kinds of areas once you have sorted the first layer, which is this one. So why do innovations fail? Very, very important question to ask. Why do innovations fail? Any guesses? Why do innovations fail? Yeah, this is one of the most threatening points in our scenario, that हम लोग innovate तो कर सकते हैं, but then how do we know that innovation is going to succeed? Most innovations fail. Lack of target needs, not able to get the real needs, not to address the gap. Yes. Lack of belief. Yes. The top reason why innovation fails is because innovation is targeted towards the wrong direction. It is just targeted towards the wrong direction. So naturally it's going to fail. Or the innovation is not solving the desired problems, which means that there is a problem there and our innovation is not actually addressing that problem. So if that problem is not being addressed, what will happen? What will happen? It will just create noise. You will just have spent your precious time and money to solve a problem that people don't consider a problem, a good enough problem. And so they will not buy your product or services. Yeah, makes sense? People always want to address those problems which are important in their mind. And so this is a survey done by CBC Insights. Startups, why startups fail? And if you see the top reason, 42% startups fail is because there is no market need. They are just innovating in a direction where there is no need. Yeah. When I saw this chart for the first time, my brain got scrambled. Like, okay, really? Even though we are the smartest people working on the innovation, still that is happening. That was what I was thinking. Imagine 42% startups are failing because there is no market need. So why are they actually even innovating? Well, turns out that they are innovating because most people innovate in a most random way. They just have, it's like a roll of a dice. It's just random. How do you select where to innovate? And that's probably the reason why 84% of the global executives say that the innovation is extremely important. Not just one of the factors, extremely important. And yet only 6% are satisfied with the innovation performance. Look at the gap. We all know innovation is important. Everybody talks about how innovation is important. And yet only 6% are satisfied. And this is the reason why. Because innovation has just been aimed towards in a wrong direction. Yeah, can you relate to it? Do you have you felt it? Have you felt this way or at any point of time? Where innovating, or if you want to innovate, is just in a different direction. It's in the wrong direction. And that is why the results that come out are not what we expect. And that creates cash flows issues, they create time issues, and we start believing that innovation doesn't work for us. It turns out that startups or any other innovation, they always start with a bright idea. Yeah, I have a brilliant idea, let's do this. And yeah, the idea is quite enticing. But this is the reason why it also fails, because idea is just a thought or a suggestion of a possible course. So I encourage in my classes to not work on the ideas, but on insights. What is an insight? The capacity to gain an accurate and deep understanding of something. So first you gain an accurate and deep understanding on something. And out of that, create an idea. Rather than just creating an idea in the first place and only it's not working. Yeah, makes sense? So work with insights, guys, not with ideas. That's the message over here. Most of the people who have failed are only working with ideas, and I can name a lot of companies who are doing that. So we just jog through this part, which is about defining the innovation. So this is a typical definition: make changes to something incrementally, especially by introducing new models, ideas, or products. What I say is that consistent stream of initiatives inspired by insights. Consistent stream, because your market is always changing. The market is always changing. The user is always having his needs evolved. Inspired by insights to bring incremental change, incremental value over time. That is what innovation is, ladies and gentlemen. But innovation alone also is not useful. You need to have a strategy. And any outcome that is desirable comes from a strategy plus innovation. And that is why we call it strategic innovation. Innovation without strategy is just noise. And strategy without innovation is nothing. It's like muscle without bones. It's not, it can't even stand by itself. An analogical equivalent to that is like of darts. Innovation, when you understand innovation models and when you understand how innovation is done, it's like those darts. You have a bunch of darts, and then you have a target in the front. So once you have a clear target, you would know which dart to hit: a light dart, a heavy dart, a pointy dart, a long dart. Yeah. So you need to have two things. You need to have the bullseye in front of you, and you need to know what to do in innovation. What does innovation look like? What is the model of innovations? That is about knowing. And so if one has to understand the outcome-driven model behind the innovation, it always starts by the ecosystem mapping as a first step. What were we doing when we were understanding the user and the needs? What were we really doing when we understand what is available in the market when we do competitor research and things like that. What is it actually doing for us? They are all part of a ecosystem mapping. And then of course we strategize, and then we innovate. Now, what is the normal course of things over here? Most companies, they directly jump on innovation. They don't strategize, or they jump on strategy, but they don't know what the strategy is based on, because there is no ecosystem mapping. This is another reason why innovation fails, because there is no sense of clear understanding of what the user needs are. Make sense? Make sense, guys? So let's see what the common myths are and what is our take on that. Can only happen in products. Innovation तो जी मेरे product में ही हो सकती है. I'm a distributor, or I'm a folio manager, so I sell the products that companies tell me to do, and what can I really do about it? It can only happen in products. So no, there were other kinds of innovations as well, especially the processes and business models. Doesn't need a product innovation all the time. It takes very long time. It's a time-taking process. Yeah, so we would agree now that it's not a time-taking process. In fact, innovation is very quick. The only thing that takes time is to understand what the users need. And once you clearly identify them, innovation is very fast. Innovation is expensive. That's the biggest number of largest number of people that I've heard saying innovation is very expensive. Well, yeah, it's going to be expensive if you try and fail, and if you try and fail 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, it's going to get more expensive. So hit and trial is expensive, guys. Not innovation. Innovation is not expensive. The hit and trial is expensive. So follow an outcome-driven innovation. It's fast and it's bang on. It doesn't take expense. It only takes mind. And innovation is not for me. That's another one. Yeah, मैं तो ठीक हूँ. Innovation मेरे लिए नहीं है. I can't do innovation. I don't need innovation. Yeah. मेरे को innovation करने की क्या जरूरत है? मेरा product चल रहा है, अच्छे चल रहा है. Yeah. So we know what happened to Kodak. We know what happened to Nokia. So if you are in a saturated market or an evolving market or a growing market, every business wants to be. Anybody who's a business consultant over here would agree that everybody wants to be in an evolving market and in a growing market. Yes, but evolving market means evolving needs, and if you don't innovate, well, the competition is going to kill you, ladies and gentlemen. It's just going to kill you. So I'm not trying to sell innovation here. I'm just trying to show you a perspective. And just keep an open mind over here to understand what it means to be ahead of the curve. And so, innovate or die. Cost of doing nothing. So this is not created by me. This I picked up from the internet. I'm sure this is being created by one of the innovation enthusiasts. But there is some logic behind what they are saying. If you are not innovating like Kodak, even though they innovated, they did not adopt it. Today, they are wiped out from the face of earth. And nobody can do a thing. So let's circle back to these companies that we saw in the beginning of the presentation and see what has happened to these companies. What has happened? They are just people who are still there, the companies who are still there, they're just hanging in, they're just struggling, surviving somehow. They're not creating. They don't have a substantial market share. They don't have or at least they don't have the segment that they used to own. And this is the reason why it happened to them. Last outcome of the day is, how do we innovate during COVID times? What do we do when the COVID is there? How do we innovate there in these times? So remember this diagram? Remember this diagram of how the user needs have changed for the COVID? So that is part of the ecosystem mapping. We have a different needs. The current products do not meet the current need criteria. A cash-strapped customer, if we try and sell him something which is expensive and we expect him to pay upfront, it's not going to happen, my guys. An unclear future, again, they don't want to invest on a long term. They want to invest on something that is there, visible, because nobody is clear about the future. Yeah, so needs are different, the users are different. How can we change our offerings? This is what we're interested in. How can we change our offerings to meet these needs? Well, let's look at some strategies. Different needs. So functional aspects, emotional aspects on a personal dimension, social dimension. You can opt any of these three models to solve these issues. Functional aspects. Safety is a functional aspect. It's also an emotional aspect. Can you create something which makes people feel safe, either in their investments or physical protection or anything of that sort? Buyer aspects. Can you create something? Can you innovate your product in a way where people are happy to buy? Maybe don't charge them upfront. Maybe charge them pay as you go. Maybe charge them with a monthly EMI or something of that sort, so that they don't have to pay upfront. Can you create a situation? Can you create a business model where buyers aspects are being solved as a process of innovation itself? So these are the ways that different needs can be catered. Now, how do you know that there is a need? So we're not going to go into detail, but to validate a need, it needs to fit this statement. When dash, I want dash so that I can dash. Okay, so let's throw some examples around here. When I want to invest, I want to be sure, I want to minimize my risk, so that I want to maximize my return so that I can minimize my risk. I don't know. When I invest, I want to minimize my risk so that I can expect a maximum outcome. When I buy insurance, I want to pay as you go so that I don't have to spend upfront. Cash नहीं आ रहा है, and suddenly insurance की installment आ जाती है 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, whatever. What will happen? So can insurance companies look at this statement and understand how they can change their business model? I know guys, it can sound a little wild, but we'll come to that later on. But just be open about it. Can you understand how this statement can lead you to understand the new problems that people are facing and what are their needs? When I do a meeting, I want to do it on video call from my home, from my desk, so that I do not need to go to the office, and therefore my exposure is limited. When I go to the office, I want to wear a mask so that I can be safe and I can maintain a social distancing. When I climb into my lift, I want to touch in some way, not touch the button and yet reach my floor, so that I do not have to contaminate my hand with a possible corona. So this is your user talking, and if you can make your user, if you can talk like a user, you can understand what they really need, and then you can start thinking about what you do to make those things happen. Next is the cash strapped customer. We all are facing this. We are cash strapped. So what can we do about it? So one way is on demand. Just like Netflix. Netflix gives you the on demand service on subscription charges. So this is extremely true for manufacturing guys. So I know there's a certain kind of manufacturing that requires the client to pay an upfront design cost and equipment cost. So can you innovate on a technology that does not attract an upfront cost? Same for services. Can you, and by services I mean things like insurance. Automobile insurance, for example, can the automobile insurance recreate the model where they don't charge per annum, but they charge per kilometer? I don't know. So somebody has More kilometers, they pay more. Somebody has less kilometers, they pay less. And so the customer is in the benefit. These are wild questions to ask. And unless you get wild, these ideas won't come. Innovation in some way is regarding wildness. We first see wild ideas and then we filter down into what is possible. Better supply chain. Supply chains are currently based out of the most efficiency. Efficiency has been the matrix so far for the supply chain. Send me a container or send me 5 containers because that is the least amount of money per piece that is charged when I get supply chain. But now the money is not there. So can you create a drift system? Or can you create pay-per-use or pay-on-use models for the insurance products and consumables? So these are kind of questions we need to ask. There's an unclear future as well. So we don't want to send them a whole stuff of thing which is already done. So again, on demand plays a big role. When the person demands, he doesn't have to stack up inventory. That works very well. But also bundled outcomes is the biggest problem. So we want to sell the entire package. So unbundling services or unbundling charges is the best way to reach the customer. Separate out your services and products so that the customer is able to afford your product in that limited cash flow, and he will buy that. He will buy more of it later on. But if we try and put him कि नहीं आपको 1000 रुपए की चीज ही लेनी है, and versus मैंने अपने product को break कर दिया कि मेरे 100 रुपए के 10 products हैं, which do you think the customer will easily get 1000 चीज की 10 चीजें in subsequent time? What do you think the customer will grab? Guys, small packs. Yes, customer will always grab the smaller packs first, and by increasing the number of packs, you can gain better profits than by selling $1,000 per pack. And that is what is unbundling of charges are. And there is no better time to do that as for now, because right now the customer is requiring that. Also, if the customer's future is uncertain, what about our own future? We have currently got an inventory or a non-value adding asset, and in an SME, there are about usually 25% of assets lying idle. More so now when the offices are shut down or they're working on the lower capacity. Can you aggregate those services? Can you aggregate those assets and have somebody make some money out of that and pay you as well? Or can you look at an aggregated partner to reduce the cost of acquisition? Joint ventures are more important than ever now, guys. Look for people who can be your aggregation partners. And do not protect your business. This is the perfect opportunity for looking out for niches. Do not protect your business. If you protect your business, the needs have changed. We just talked about that. So you understand, if the needs have changed, the business won't survive. So do not protect your business. Keep an open mind to see how can you change your business into these new needs and new scenarios. So something that works in a normal time as well, but and cannot be more true than in current times. This is a circle of transmutation that I talk a lot about in my book. What it says is that there are usually 4 stages of innovation disruption. If you're innovating, there are 4 stages when it will start showing an impact. And first impact, the continual sustenance. And if you have to reach the last layer, if you follow the outcome-driven model, you reach the last stage. And to do that, when we analyze all the innovative companies and the sectors in which the disruption has happened, 1 out of the 4 stages have been done through product innovation. So out of all the 4 stages, 1 stage involved product innovation. 2 out of 4 stages has involved product and business delivery model innovations. So we think that, if we have to disrupt the market, we have to keep evolving our product. We have to keep evolving the product every time. But what I'm telling you is that my research has found out that it's not the product innovation that has disrupted the status quo. Only 1 step is necessary requiring a product innovation. 2 out of 4 steps are requiring processes and business models. And the one step can be any other three. So it can be 2 times the products, it can be 2 times the processes, it doesn't matter. But 1 out of the 4 products, steps need to be a product, and 2 out of 4 steps need to be a process or a business delivery model. So the outcome driven model is this, which we just went back, and this one. So these are 3 steps that one follows, and it has some parameters. If you look at those parameters and if you follow those steps, this is what we call it as an outcome driven model. So what is opening up, guys? Think out of the box. What is opening up? Did you get value? Did something open up? Is it making sense? Thinking. Yeah. I've been told that my sessions make people think a lot, and sometimes they are not on the chat box while thinking, and that signals me that they're not there. So yeah, that's the problem. I'm still working on that one. But yeah, thinking is good. Thinking means that there's something is moving. Neurological patterns are changing. That's good. Has it shifted something in you? So we have 29 participants. I don't see 29 replies here. Has something shifted? Can you see where your products require relooking at? Can you see how can your products serve better in the COVID time just by using some simple strategies what we have discussed about? Can you see how your competition is making a mistake and you are in a perfect situation to change that, to steal the market away from your competition? Great. So what have we learned today? Why established products and companies become obsolete in emerging markets? And I would use the word obsolete because they actually go away. If you don't kill your product in time, it's going to kill your company. That's what the business consultants say. So the new lens of needs and the solution to that. We also saw what is innovation. Why do so many organizations go wrong? And therefore, how can you remove guesswork while doing the innovation? A lot of people are innovating in a random manner, my friends. Guesswork is the biggest disaster in innovation if you want to see that. And how to innovate in COVID times. COVID is just, I believe that COVID is just a moment which is an opportunity where things are revealed. Otherwise, in the normal due course of time, there are always disruptions that happen in the world. We just don't have time enough to see that. COVID has presented this opportunity where you can see that, where you can change stuff. We also saw areas where you can innovate. Yeah? Everybody remember that? What are they? Tell me on the chat box. What areas can you innovate on? What areas can go into innovation? Emotions. Okay. Processes and business model. Yes. Yes. What else? Services, packaging and services. Yes. Vivek, that is going to be the major thing for you. If you change your packaging and if you change your business model, it's going to be a major thing for you. Nitin, pricing. Yes. Another outcome is the result of innovation. Outcome is something that we aim towards. Outcome is a bullseye. What we're talking about is what are the darts that you have in your hand. Delivery system, yes. Products, price model, processes, yes. Myths around innovation. We saw a lot of myths around innovation, and we saw why they are there. Yeah. So tell me something. Does that solve some myth in your mind that you may have or had before? Does that solve some mind tricks that as a result of conditioning, social conditioning, people would have discussed with you, and you would have found legitimate or not legitimate, whatever? 5 criteria of need definition, validation statement, and how to find niches. Yeah. So statement, if you use those kind of statements, you're going to find a niche. And once you find a niche, validate that niche and go for it. Niches are the best way to become profitable. Niches are the best way to become profitable. And you got to work on all the 5 criteria of the need definition. Remember that? Functional need, emotional need, buyers aspects, social aspects. Remember that? And why process innovation and business model innovation are the 2 preferred methods, especially for the COVID times. Guys, do not go to product innovation at this moment. If you already have a product, go for business model innovation, go for process innovation, because right now it's not the right time to product innovation. But just by doing process innovation, business model innovation, you can do a lot. You can do a lot. I'm going to show you some things about it. So would you agree now? One of the enthusiastic guys that they said, innovate or die, the cost of doing nothing. Would you agree to that now? Does that sound agreeable? Does that sound doable? Does that sound that there's something that has not been said out of one-way passion towards the subject? And yes, there might be some truth in this. Great guys. So now I've told you a lot about the innovation. As a next step, you need to see the unknown. Just like this image that you have, the bulb is actually not there. The bulb is a result of the hand posture. So look for the unknown. Serve the user's latent needs. Latent needs are the needs that user has but he cannot vocalize. And we're going to talk about that in the future. Not in this session. We're not going to talk about that. Serve the user's local latent need. Latent need is the most powerful method of capturing the business. Who told Steve Jobs that they require 1,000 songs in the pocket? Who's told Tesla that they require chargeable cars running in the streets now? Who told Zoom guys that the online meeting is going to be required in the future in not a way that can be indispensable? So latent needs, figuring out latent needs timely is very, very important. Out of those latent needs, you create niches and you make profitable ventures by providing high value outcomes.